The GOP's failed red wave has spelled only ridicule for Donald J. Trump from his own party. We got a video.
What I can tell you is the biggest loser tonight is Donald Trump.
Donald Trump was the big loser.
This man is a loser.
He's the biggest loser in American politics.
The big losers are going to be Donald Trump.
Trump is not a national winner.
This is a resounding loss for him.
Well, not only is Donald Trump the loser, we already heard John Carl say that Donald Trump was the biggest loser of the night. Do you agree?
Oh, there's no question.
Trump was the biggest loser last night. I know he hates hearing that.
Biggest loser tonight. That's on Fox News Digital talking about
Yep, I couldn't be brought more joy by any video footage than seeing that montage. I will be playing it on loop as I sleep. It'll replace my white noise machine. Let's hope it sinks into the orange monster's brain. In the wake of Tuesday's red splash, if you can even call it that, the results are still being tabulated. The New York Post, once ardent Trump lovers, unleashed a vicious takedown of Donnie with this Thursday's cover depicting him as Humpty Dumpty. As you can see there, Don, who couldn't build a wall, had a great fall. Can all the GOP's men put the party back together again? Trumpty Dumpty, you gotta love it. In a scathing op-ed, the editor of commentary, John Podhoretz, called Trump toxic. After 3 straight national tallies in which either he or his party or both were hammered by the national electorate, it's time for even his stands to accept the truth. Toxic Trump is the political equivalent of a can of Raid. What Tuesday night's results suggest is that Trump is perhaps the most profound vote repellent in modern American history. The surest way to lose in these midterms was to be a politician endorsed by Trump. This is not hyperbole. I mean, it is true when you look at the fact that the vast majority of Trump's 330 endorsed candidates went straight down in flames, partially perhaps because he was endorsing a bunch of people who aren't qualified to work for someone's campaign, aren't qualified to work as a greeter at Walmart, let alone were the candidates at the top of the ticket themselves. The midterm failures also set the stage for the 2024 GOP nomination, elevating Florida Governor Ron DeSantis as Trump's influence appears to be waning. DeSantis clearly saw his stock rise in a party that has grown increasingly tired of being dragged down at the ballot box by Trump. But Trump's grip on a strong plurality of Republican voters appears firm, despite a string of losses on Tuesday by his acolytes. And Republicans are still trying to determine if DeSantis could unseat the long-reigning king of the GOP, according to Tom LoBianco at Yahoo News. And the buzz around DeSantis was not lost on Trump, who posted this message Wednesday on Truth Social. Now that the election in Florida is over and everything went quite well, shouldn't it be said that in 2020 I got 1.1 million more votes in Florida than Ron D got this year, 5.7 million to 4.6 million. Just asking. He writes like a teenager getting ready for prom. It's unbelievable the way this dude just asking, just for a friend, didn't I get a little more votes in the homecoming tally? Trump has even tried to refute previous reports sourcing a Trump advisor that mentioned how livid he has been, screaming at everyone over the midterms. He posted, there's a fake story being promulgated by third-rate reporter Maggie Hageman, it's Haberman, Hageman of the failing New York Times, that I am blaming our great former First Lady Melania and Sean Hannity, that I was angry with their pushing me to endorse Dr. Oz. First of all, Oz is a wonderful guy who has really worked hard and was a very good candidate, but he was long in the race before I ever endorsed him. They had nothing to do with it. He was not a denier, his mistake. And I was not at all angry. Fake news. He was not a denier. His mistake. He's even calling it a denier. He's not calling it. He's somebody sharing the truth. He was not somebody who's denying the elections in this country. His mistake. And in the Republican Party these days, that could be a mistake, but thank goodness not all of them were able to move forward. Before we continue this story, I have to check in with Yasmin because there's a lot already to unpack there. What are your thoughts about the Trump-DeSantis emerging feud?
Well, that's fun. I mean, he's such a child. Like, he doesn't need to say any of what he says most of the time, right? So, and half of those people who are calling Trump a loser on all these daytime television shows and in the news and the magazines, they were all on the Trump bandwagon. They're all losers too. You can't trust anything these people say. We saw the GOP live by Trump, and we're gonna see it die by Trump. His endorsements didn't do as well as he apparently thought they would, as much as the media told him it would, as much as all these GOP operatives said it would. But despite being so active during the election season, he's not even, he can't acknowledge even the possibility that his endorsements aren't worth as much as maybe they once were. No one's surprised by his lack of awareness, but it is reassuring to see that maybe people on the right are finally getting tired of being represented by this guy. I know that we on the left have been tired of him for a long time, but we've all been kind of waiting for the right to also just exhaust themselves with Trump and all of his Trump picks. And you actually touched on a good point about Republicans wanting and needing more qualified people to fill these positions, right? Maybe Republican voters are finally tired of getting these Trump sycophants who are, they're just puppets who are being put into these strategic political positions by maybe a handful of influential people in the party. You can't blame them for wanting to vote for somebody who they actually want to be represented by, for wanting to vote for a qualified candidate that they're not embarrassed to vote for.
Hey, that's a strong point. Yeah, it is. Traditionally in politics, people want to vote for candidates they're not embarrassed by, and that has changed a bit, but the embarrassment factor can still come kicking like pride kicking at you, Pulp Fiction style. And this might delay Trump's announcement with regards to whether he will be running for president or not, but probably not, knowing the man who can't keep the words of the press out of his ears. Despite embarrassing GOP losses by Trump's handpicked candidates, he probably still will announce his 2024 intentions because, quote, it's too humiliating to delay, the Trump advisor told CNN, noting there were many unknowns at this point. Meanwhile, control of the Senate and House, like I mentioned up top, are still up in the air. While Republicans are still favored to take the 435-seat House, although likely with a smaller margin than they had projected, the Senate still remains a toss-up. For both chambers, a handful of yet-to-be-called races will decide control. And on that note, really quickly, I just have to add, I still hold out hope that the remaining seats come out blue. We don't know yet. I am drinking coffee out of a mug that has a red and blue country, and when you put hot liquid in it, it turns all blue, but my coffee is cooled down. Hopefully the Democratic steam will not be cooling down. I just saw Yasmin's sad face at that. I'll heat it up during a commercial break, don't worry.
I would appreciate that, thank you.
Absolutely. As of Thursday, 185 House seats were called in Democrats' favor and 208 called for Republicans. A party needs to reach, of course, 218 seats to control the chamber. In the Senate, 48 seats had been called for Democrats and 49 for Republicans, leaving just 3 races outstanding. Democrats need to reach 50 to have a majority because the vice president serves as a tiebreaker in the chamber. But also keep in mind, Democrats have already picked up at least 1 seat in the Senate, and we have the runoff coming up in Georgia, and we still are waiting to hear some results. And just separate of Congress, we still have one of Trump's biggest, most high-profile election-denying candidates, Kari Lake, running for governor in Nevada, and it is still to be decided, still to be determined. She was down, now she's up a little. It's neck and neck, but we'll see if that goes down because she's the one that, of course, Trump was bragging on the phone, saying Kari Lake mentions it every sentence. You ask her how her family is, she says the election was stolen, and touted it as the best example of how to run a campaign. So a loss there would be a very strong step toward democracy. On the other side of the aisle, we have Beto O'Rourke, who has now lost his 3rd straight contest in 4 years. He's never won a race outside of his home district, where he was a council member and a congressperson. But 4 years ago, he was the next great hope for Texas Democrats. Now notching this, like I said, 3rd electoral loss just last Tuesday, he's in danger of being lumped in with Democratic symbols of political failure. O'Rourke addressed his political future in his concession speech Tuesday night in El Paso, saying he would remain involved, but he did not know what form that will take. Afterward, O'Rourke supporters said they did not want him to disappear from politics, but acknowledged he could use a respite. When your own supporters are telling you, take a rest, not a great sign. But Yasmin, you are in Texas This hits very close to home for you. What's the mood on the street? What's your take on Beto O'Rourke's future?
I don't know what's going on out in the streets, but poor Beto. I mean, like, poor me, poor me living here in Texas. And if I'm being honest, I never really had much faith that he would win this governorship. And that's not necessarily a dig at Beto himself. It's about the political climate here in Texas. Texas is not ready for Beto O'Rourke, and a lot of the powers that be, I don't think that they would have let it happen, right? Even if he was elected to be the governor, he would have a lot of brick walls that he would be up against here. There is no way that he was going to win. It was a nice hope while it lasted, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did take some time off from running for various offices. At this point, he's kind of a meme in and of itself. But I think he definitely has a lot to offer in terms of public service. I finally met him on this last campaign, and I posted a picture of us, and everyone made fun of me because it was very clear how short I was and how tall he was, and I was wearing stilettos in that picture. But I mean, he's a really nice guy. I liked him a lot. He had some good things to say. He was very inspirational, very motivational. He was very well spoken. I hope he finds his place wherever that is. Maybe he can be appointed to some cabinet position. Who knows? I think he has more to offer.
He's apparently monstrously tall. I did not know that. I've been at campaign.
I'm very short. I am very short.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
How short are you?
I'm 5 feet and no inches, 0 inches.
Whoa, okay, that is pretty short.
Pretty short, yeah.
Have you thought about using stilts?
I have, yeah. It seems like a lot of work though, but I am an expert in heels. Yeah.
Fair enough. I like that. You gotta do what you gotta do to stand out in this world. I understand it. Much like Beto O'Rourke has been trying to do unsuccessfully. I love his campaign style. I love when he just started talking trash. He started swearing at the guy that was there with a gun at his event, mocking.
Yeah, and one thing about Beto and the way that he carries himself, he's in Texas. The fact that he had so much support from his senatorial race and his governor race here in Texas, the support that he's gotten in Texas of all places is a huge deal. And I don't think he gets enough credit for that. He's done a lot here.
Yeah, and he's opened up for a lot of other positions, a lot of other Congress positions and state legislatures that are going Democratic that have not before, thanks to the enthusiasm he's created. So it's not a total loss, but his political future definitely is in question. And I look forward to seeing what's next.